So March is kicking off with a total of 5 pro games joining the lineup, but we are seeing a bevy of new titles coming to Stadia, and it's making it one of the bigger months in terms of pure game releases. 100 games were announced to come to the platform, but so far only a handful have launched in total, meaning the game's releases are now starting to ramp up. And as always, we're going to take our guesses of which games might show up as stealth drops for Stadia, and there is one game that I feel 100% is coming, even though it hasn't been announced, and it's a pretty big game, so stay tuned for that. With that, let's jump into our first set of pro games for March, starting with Darksiders Genesis. This is a top-down action title where you play as War, a powerful swordsman who I admit I found slightly boring in my playthrough, as he's not exciting as the other character you get to play as Strife, who wields double pistols. The gameplay in this title is honestly very top-notch. If it were a full-blown Diablo-like title, it probably would have been a bigger hit than it was. Despite that though, it does have a pretty interesting story from start to end, and really extremely fun boss fights, and there's some enhancements that you can make to your character as well to customize it. One of the handful of titles that I've beaten on Stadia, one that for me is probably the highlight of this month's pro games. Now jumping to our next game, Dawn of the Monsters has you taking on the role of 4 playable monsters in a side-scrolling beat-em-up with fully destructible environments, and it has you facing different types of enemies and epic bosses. Now this is a completely brand new game not released anywhere, has 35 missions, 2-player co-op, and the ability to customize your monsters with this little DNA feature. Overall, it's a pretty interesting game. I think it has some mindless fun, which I think is a good thing. Jumping to our next game, we have a Mario Kart type of title with Race with Ryan. Since it is an outright game, you're getting simplified controls and even an option for auto acceleration for the little young ones, so the controls are just that much easier. Now it does feature a 4-player split screen races. It has those power-ups that you see in Mario Kart type of titles, and it also has 6 different levels in total. Obviously, this won't be on like the same level as some of the famous mini racer games out there, but personally I'm looking forward to this, as these are always pretty fun titles, really good for party settings. Now, since I own the game Darksiders Genesis, I personally can't be as excited for that one, but the game on the pro list that I am very excited for and ready to jump into is Darkwood, coming in with over 10,000 very positive user reviews. It's a very well-beloved title with a Metacritic score of 80. Now, if you're wondering what this game's about, it's a top-down survival horror that has you exploring, scavenging while trying to survive. During the day, you're searching for things to keep yourself alive. At night, you then hunker down and try to survive. The levels are randomly generated, so you're always getting fresh environments every time. You'll be, of course, crafting items that you need to survive. Should be a good one when it does hit the pro lineup, and the game that I'm looking forward to the most. Finally, our last title on the list is Adam Wolf, and as you step here into the role of an investigator looking into the supernatural, and you're driven by your sister's mysterious disappearance. Now in this game, you're going to be solving mystery after mystery and putting the clues together through a series of puzzles. According to the developers, you're going to get through the game with at least about 8 hours of gameplay, so the journey shouldn't take you too long. With all that, guys, all these titles will be hitting Stadia Pro on March 1st. Make sure you claim them, and that now brings the total of Stadia Pro games to 52. Not too bad at all. So let's jump into our games with confirmed dates. So a game that I did not know was coming in, Ryan's Rescue Squad from Outright Games. This is another completely brand new title. This is a side-scrolling 2D adventure with split-screen co-op that has you going through various levels in unique ways. I have to say the game looks pretty neat. It's super colorful. Obviously doesn't look all that challenging, but I can see if I had like a little tyke sitting down and I wanted to game with him or her, I think I'd have some fun with this one. Of course, if you're interested in Ryan's Rescue, it is set to come March 4th, but the publishers did say they're going to try and get this one out day and date, so it's possible it could be delayed, so keep that in mind. Jumping to our next game here, I didn't realize Mad Streets is another brand new title, but it is, and after being teased to come to Stadia for a long time now, it's finally officially launching on the 15th of March. What's dubbed as a hilarious multiplayer party game with up to 4 other players, with the theme of being brutal and fist fighting your friends and family. There's various modes like Mad Rush, where you have various objectives, Rumble mode, that's a simple versus mode, and then Smash and Grab, where you just pick up everything and you throw it at each other. I've even seen some dodgeball types of mode as well, so the game is meant to be very lighthearted, goofy, crazy, wacky, weird physics-based game that should be just kind of a laugh and fun. It's an interesting title for sure, and one if you're fishing for more party games, this could be up your alley. Jumping and talking about yet another party game we have here in Oddballers. This is a game about, well, dodgeball in unique ways, featuring up to 4-player local or 6-player online, and the game does feature several game modes. It has this like crazy physics-based gameplay and apparently very simple controls. Now, out of all the party games on this entire list, and there seems to be a lot, this one does seem to have, for me personally, the most excitement coming this month, the most interest. It really does look like a quality game and the one that I'd actually like to bust out the most out of this list. Finally, guys, out of the confirmed games, we have Lumo, the Master Mode Chronicles. Now, this is a pretty unique game. It's a 3D puzzle platformer with level designs that can be apparently very, very huge, marked by separate towers that unlock a new set of puzzles every time you keep going further and you descend further into the game. The game says the puzzles can get pretty complex and are all very interconnected and seamless as you jump from puzzle to puzzle. Now, if you guys know me on this channel, you know I hate puzzle games with a passion, so you guys are gonna have to let me know how this one plays out when it comes on Stadia on March 24th. With that, guys, I've talked about all the confirmed games coming for March with dates. Let's explore the titles that I think are gonna come as a surprise. Finally, my streak here was broken last month. Let's start a new one here with March. Of course, the first game we have to talk about, of course, has to be World War Z. This was announced months ago to come this winter. Well, winter officially ends in just some weeks. This title is set to come here very soon. Hopefully, we get to see it. It does feature full crossplay. Personally, it's a game that I've been looking forward to for months now, and it's one that's very highly touted and one that's very respectable and liked and loved. Man, I really hope we see this one. With that, from here on out, the guesses are going to get a lot harder for me. We haven't seen the remaining Far Cry titles from Ubisoft in Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, Far Cry 4, and then Far Cry Primal. I really think these games should be coming any month now. Then we have Death Carnival. This is a game that was announced a year and a half ago. I'd love to see this, though. I wouldn't be shocked this is a future pro game when it comes as a new release. From Space, this is a game that I think could be releasing here pretty soon. They've been teasing it quite a bit here lately. Then the final game I'll try to guess here is The Last Kids on Earth and the Staff of Doom. This is an outright game. We're starting to kind of finish up their library of games that they've talked about coming to Stadia, which is great. As far as any big titles, guys, coming in March, I'm going to be honest with you, we haven't heard much from a lot of these games that are set to come here on other platforms. I don't expect to see these games, but I'm going to bring them out anyways because they are publishers that have supported Stadia in the past. I'd love to see Tiny Tina's Wonderland. I don't think we're going to see it because the founder of Borderlands had some choice words about Stadia, but I'd love to see it either way. The newest WWE 2K22 is set to come in March, but I'm going to be honest, we haven't gotten any 2K games in a while. Also, the next gen version of GTA is set to launch. It has been rumored in the past for Stadia that we would be seeing the next gen version. At this point, I think if any of those 3 games would come, I think they would come at a delayed time on Stadia. But I thought either way that it was worth mentioning in this video, just for games that I guess, would love to see or hoping to see again, but I don't think they're coming this month if they come. So with that, guys, if you want more games and what to expect on Stadia this year in 2022, check out that video in the top left. As always, guys, I'll see you in the clouds.